Like, he barely got you. He's always with me, though. I don't care what nobody say. He needs therapy. The in therapy. Now what? What else you want to know, you stupid bitch?
The internet is convulsing like someone plugged the algorithm into a lightning socket because Karlissa allegedly dropped fictional claims about a mysterious condition surrounding baby Junior. And apparently it's all tied to Chrisean's so-called secret habits. One tiny whisper, a couple of dramatic eyebrow lifts, and boom, the rumor mill detonated harder than a reality TV reunion episode after the champagne runs out. Comment sections are shaking, meme pages are sprinting, and entire fan bases are acting like they just stumbled on a leaked medical scroll sealed in ancient wax. Screenshots are flying faster than Uber rides. Conspiracy editors are adding red arrows to innocent photos. And suddenly every blink from Karlissa is treated like confirmation that she knows the truth. If she pauses, it's a reveal. If she sighs, it's a confession. Meanwhile, Junior's fictional condition has been turned into a thriller plotline that makes the Kardashians look like background cartoons sketched in crayon. Now timelines are melting down over wild theories, while self-appointed investigators talk like they cracked open a top-secret vault hidden beneath Zeus Studios. And if any of these delusional dots were actually connected, then congratulations, you've just entered the most unhinged, sarcastic, popcorn-worthy rumor saga the internet has manufactured all year. Buckle in, because this fictional frenzy is about to get nuclear. The fictional scandal didn't just fall from the sky. It splashed onto the timeline like confetti soaked in gasoline after Karlissa allegedly hinted that Junior had some mysterious condition stemming from Chrisean's lifestyle. It began with a tiny clip so blurry the pixels looked like Minecraft blocks, yet the internet decided it held a revelation more explosive than a celebrity divorce season finale. Suddenly viewers were leaning forward, squinting like ancient scholars reading encrypted caves, convinced they were watching a coded confession play out live. The rumor machine didn't ask for medical charts, doctors, or even coherence. It simply inhaled the whisper and exhaled conspiracy smoke like a Roman temple burning with prophecy. Karlissa didn't have to name anything or identify any symptoms for the chaos to catch fire. All she needed was the right tone, a strategic pause, and the tiniest hint of concern layered under her voice, and boom, Junior's fictional condition was born. Screenshots blasted everywhere showing her raising a brow or pressing her lips tightly, as if those micro-expressions were the Rosetta Stone of hidden genetics. Comment sections began diagnosing like they'd spent 40 years studying fictional pediatric science. It didn't matter that no one knew what she was allegedly referring to, because ambiguity is the most addictive content of all. TikTok theorists stitched the clip and slowed it down like forensic analysts decoding national security footage. They claimed the way Karlissa adjusted her shirt proved she was holding imaginary documents. They circled shadows behind her shoulder, insisting it was a pile of test results stacked like forbidden scrolls. The video quality was so bad it could have been a toaster filming through a fishbowl. But the internet still turned that blur into evidence. Entire threads filled with wild explanations about Chrisean's habits. Everything from chaotic energy fields to spiritual interference that supposedly impacted Junior's fictional condition. And then the rumor mutated like a digital virus with a million side effects that no antivirus could stop. Users insisted Karlissa possessed private knowledge from unnamed specialists, interpreting her silence like she just returned from a confidential consultation. They wrote that she had been studying signs, as if motherhood came with a detective badge and microscope. If she looked down for a second, people said she was mentally holding back secrets. If she smiled too calmly, they swore she was masking truth. Logic evaporated instantly, leaving behind only cinematic suspense and popcorn-dripping hysteria. Fan pages went further and turned speculation into digital slideshows disguised as research. They made charts comparing Chrisean's supposed habits to imaginary symptoms, using cartoon arrows and highlighter fonts meant to scream urgency. They added red circles around things that weren't even there, claiming viewers missed the signs and needed to rewind 5 times. One page literally posted a blank paper, scribbled a couple mystery symbols, and called it a professional observation. Thousands reacted as if they'd just seen classified data stolen from Area 51. Nothing had labels, signatures, or meaning. But that only made people believe more deeply. Commentators began writing like philosophers who discovered universal truths through Instagram lives. They wrote that Junior's fictional condition made sense in cosmic context, blaming energy disruptions tied to Chrisean's nightlife vibes, zodiac choices, and even her taste in snacks. None of it was medical, scientific, or rational, but the poetic chaos kept threads overflowing with adrenaline. Influencers nodded like old monks decoding prophecy, claiming Karlissa had revealed enough for spiritually awakened minds to interpret. Reality checked out so hard it needed a wellness retreat. But fiction took the wheel and drove straight through red lights. Even Chrisean's mundane photos became clue boards for digital detectives who treated pixels like encrypted diaries. If she posed in a certain color, they said it symbolized hidden imbalance. If she posted a cryptic caption, they called it motherly guilt bleeding through. If she shared a laughter moment, viewers insisted it was distraction humor hiding awareness. Memes popped up calling her the unintentional antagonist in a mystery about Junior's made-up condition. Without naming anything specific, the rumor ballooned into a suspense thriller bigger than an entire cable network. Karlissa herself became a fictional oracle, a misunderstood keeper of unresolved truths wrapped in aura codes. Some users said she was communicating in gestures because speaking directly would break maternal protocol. Others wrote that she had seen too much to be comfortable and was battling with emotional restraint. A few even described her as a mom detective analyzing patterns invisible to the untrained eye. The storyline turned her into a modern mythological guardian, burdened with secret knowledge she couldn't say aloud. No explanation was necessary because mystery always tastes better than clarity. Meanwhile, so-called symptoms of Junior's fictional condition appeared from thin air. Someone pointed at an expression in one photo and confidently declared, "That's developmental symbolism." Another said a random baby outfit color indicated internal turbulence. Commenters diagnosed the child using angles, lighting, and wishful imagination, acting like an army of pediatric oracles who studied babies through viral frames. They claimed the internet picked up on signs because intuition never misses. They were diagnosing shadows, reflections, and camera blur, but delivered theories with the gravitas of Nobel speeches. The obsession escalated so wildly that viewers swore Chrisean's habits were written on Junior's aura. People typed essays about sleep patterns, room messiness, breathing rhythms, and energy flow like fictional science inspirations. They called her music vibration disruption, her arguments environmental pressure codes, and her parting frequency imbalance. None of these words meant anything, but they sounded so intense the audience just nodded. Soon, entire paragraphs stuffed with buzzwords took center stage. Looking like astrological charts crossed with conspiracy manuals, podcasters filmed content like investigative specials, whispering into microphones as though mix could transmit forbidden intel. They replayed Karlissa clips in slow echo, voiceover narrating their interpretations with solemn fervor. Listeners typed comments like, "I knew it all along," or "She tried to warn us, but people laughed." The podcast panels sat under moody lighting, speaking like officials navigating matters of state importance. Every moment was staged as tragedy wrapped in a puzzle. Even though the actual source material contained nothing but vague gestures and ordinary pauses, YouTube experts emerged overnight, holding digital pointer sticks and pointing at pixelated screenshots as if they were evidence boards in detective dramas. They wrote bullet points describing what they believed Junior endured emotionally, energetically, spiritually, and mystically. They warned audiences to look beyond the physical and seek patterns in maternal cycles. Their explanations carried the authority tone of dissertations, but not one of them had credentials. All they needed was a ring light, imagination, and a timeline starving for scandal. Even Junior's silence, the silence expected from any child, became proof of something deeper happening behind the scenes. Users wrote that stillness was symbolic expectation and quiet moments meant internalizing condition. The Fictional diagnoses expanded from absurd to artistic, layered with metaphor and dramatic tension that would have made Shakespeare jealous. People insisted the truth was hidden in the spaces we ignore, and the Karlissa saw the storm early. Their confidence was so wild. It turned fiction into scripture in record time. By the fourth day, the rumor had fully evolved into a communal fantasy, complete with roles, plots, and imaginary stakes. Karlissa was cast as the tragic prophet, Chrisean as the questionable force, Junior as the coded symbol, and social media as the investigative counsel of millions. Narratives enjoyed the melodrama too much to stop. Everyone became a participant, narrating. Guessing, overanalyzing, decoding, performing rumor theater with such conviction that outsider viewers felt they were missing something monumental. In the center of all that fiction, one truth quietly lingered: no condition was ever named, identified, explained, or proven. Not a hint of legitimacy existed anywhere. But legitimacy doesn't drive rumor culture, adrenaline does. And the internet had hooked itself on the thrill of imagining a hidden mystery. The storyline thrived on implications and silence, feeding off vague vibes and tightly clipped reactions. Every dramatized pause multiplied the theory rather than suffocating it. So Junior, a fictional symbol in a rumor built from smoke, became the latest pawn in internet lore. And the audience didn't need reality to participate. They only needed Karlissa's alleged hint. Screenshots recycled across platforms, and the addictive idea that something secret existed behind the curtain. The fallout wasn't about concern or compassion. It was about spectacle. Because scandal, even fictional scandal, is the strongest social currency the internet has ever minted. And if this was only the opening chapter, then buckle up, the rumor universe was preparing for an even more dramatic eruption. The fictional rumor didn't simmer quietly. Once the first wave landed, it erupted into a carnival of chaos with turbocharged imagination. Social feeds turned into digital courtrooms stacked with meme jurors who argued louder than reality TV reunions. People stitched Karlissa's alleged hints into conspiracy quilts, convinced they were unraveling an invisible secret sewn through every pause in her voice. Screenshots became religious icons circulated with reverence, and theory posts sounded like sacred hymns. Nobody wanted facts. They wanted the thrill of decoding shadows and silence. Soon, celebrity spectators jumped into the mix, reacting with subtle eyebrow lifts that audiences treated as cryptic validation. If a rapper joked about energy, spectators claimed it was a shot at Chrisean's supposed habits affecting Junior. If an influencer posted a random quote about accountability, rumor chefs stirred it straight into the fictional pot. Suddenly, public figures were puppets performing in the grand saga of imaginary maternal mystery. Every shrug became a breadcrumb, every side-eye a symbol of knowledge. The entire entertainment sphere morphed into a rumor museum curated by unhinged imagination. Blog page admins wrote posts like whistleblowers exposing invisible diagnosis records. They talked about fictional or disruption, claiming Junior's condition had metaphysical fingerprints. They used dramatic fonts bigger than billboards, acting as if they had front row seats to divine revelation. Thread scrolls piled up with comment scholars who spoke like they'd studied prophecy instead of gossip. And at the center of it all, the public treated Karlissa's alleged cryptic concern like a riddle forged in gold. Chrisean became the fictional villain queen of this rumor saga. Clips of her dancing, laughing, singing, or simply existing were reimagined as behavioral clues pointing toward imaginary consequences. If she wore certain colors, users said it symbolized imbalance. If she posted party crumbs, commenters framed it as coded proof of reckless habits. One fan literally circled a coffee cup in an old photo and declared it a warning sign. And the internet didn't blink, it nodded. Every influencer suddenly styled themselves as enlightened analysts, posting threads explaining emotional resonance patterns and household frequency rhythms. They connected astrology charts with imaginary developmental shadows, tying personality traits to non-existent conditions. They quoted karmic imbalance theories with the seriousness of published medical research. Viewers stared at these digital monologues as if they'd found the missing chapter of a legendary manuscript. The rumor didn't need evidence when imagination dressed itself like revelation. More layers peeled open when public pages started mapping behavioral triggers connected to Chrisean's fictional choices. They put together photos of her resting, traveling, and snacking, tying those moments to invisible cause and effect. They used arrows pointing from snack crumbs to Junior's smile, claiming emotional misalignment. The logic made no sense, but the presentation looked decorated enough to fool the hungry. And once people believed it, the storyline ballooned into circus proportions. Videos circulated showing Karlissa nodding slowly, and viewers analyzed that micronod like scientists in a lab. They treated every nanosecond as a key that unlocked secret files. That nod means she knows, one user typed, while thousands agreed like synchronized swimmers. Others said her occasional sighs were loaded with fictional guilt from holding back information. Their confidence could have powered a city grid. Even though their source was nothing more than overinterpreted silence, podcasters aired marathon discussions, unpacking maternal instinct signals with the seriousness of foreign ambassadors discussing treaties. They replayed the same 6 seconds 70 different ways, acting like each replay revealed deeper encrypted confession. They claimed Karlissa spoke in protective code to avoid chaos, suggesting her pauses were diplomatic strategies. None of it had form, origin, or clarity, yet the world treated it like the greatest scandal arc ever sculpted out of pure speculation. Fake messages allegedly from insiders popped up like popcorn. Anonymous accounts with usernames like LeakVote, Inside Pulse, and Zeus Inform pretended they had access to unseen consultations. They typed with theatrical suspense, saying they knew more than they should about Junior's fictional state. Commenters gasped as if these pages were high-ranking operatives whispering in elite chambers. The drama had reached supernatural intensity. All based on zero evidence and maximum creative combustion, people began diagnosing imaginary signs in Junior's expressions, tilting their screens halfway like they were studying art in a gallery. If he smiled softly in a photo, they said it symbolized internal conflict. If his eyes looked curious, users claimed they detected hidden fatigue. If the angle was slightly dark, they cried symbolism. And every conclusion sprang from imagination wrapped in confidence, making fiction taste like prophecy. The rumor took on cinematic energy when editors created emotional mini-documentaries narrating Karlissa's quiet concern like a mother torn between protecting truth and preventing explosion. They used melancholic piano, grayscale filters, and fake heartbeat sounds for suspense. They filmed dramatic zooms into her facial micro-changes, captioning them as confessions too powerful to say aloud. Meanwhile, the audience watched with the devotion of cult followers decoding sacred scripture. Even timeline historians rewrote old footage, hunting for alleged early warnings long before the current frenzy. They paused interviews from months ago, claiming Karlissa's tone showed burden. They screenshot random hand gestures and wrote ESAs interpreting angles. No matter how unrelated the footage, imagination bent it into supporting evidence. And the more absurd the logic became, the more obsessed the world grew. A whole subculture of rumor priests emerged, preaching cryptic lessons about fictional paternal intuition and silent maternal alarm bells. They claimed Karlissa saw invisible patterns, linking Chrisean's vibe to cosmic disruption variables. Their monologues sounded like astrological sermons dressed in medical camouflage. Commenters typed facts as if the entire discussion was gospel. And private imagination suddenly became public doctrine. Online experts argued about what fictional symptoms might look like. One thread insisted Junior missed symbolic chakra alignment because of Chrisean's nightlife aura. Another swore the baby's laugh frequency indicated internal spiritual turbulence. Someone even dropped a graphic showing wavelengths and emotion waves, as though they'd harnessed scientific equipment. The internet applauded like a cheering stadium. Because performance is all rumor culture needs, Karlissa's alleged silence became a psychological exhibit. If she avoided interviews, they said she was protecting fragile truth. If she appeared on live and said nothing relevant, commenters whispered she was preparing audiences for impact. If she laughed normally, observers claimed it was strategic calm. Fiction lifted her into the role of a mythic oracle safeguarding forbidden knowledge. And nobody asked if the knowledge existed. Theories got more extravagant when users pointed at household environments and tied them to fictional developments. They said certain wall colors showed energy mismatch. They analyzed furniture placement like a feng shui ritual. They treated music choices as emotional interference patterns. These fantasy diagnostics came with certainty so strong. The debate stopped being about truth and started being about whose imagination sounded most academic. Even Blueface's occasional expressions rolled into the conspiracy cyclone. If he looked confused, they said he was hiding awareness. If he looked unbothered, they said denial was eating him alive. If he turned his head, rumor architects drew connection lines to phantom conversations. Social feeds filled with digital courtroom sketches, arguing over illusion as though it were carved marble. Every platform, every circle, every discussion space got sucked into the spiral. People spoke about Junior's fictional condition like it was a decoded secret that Karlissa accidentally leaked through subconscious language. They cited thin air as evidence and tone shifts as revelation. The fictional fear spread so wildly that silence became monster fuel. Those who didn't believe the rumor were called blind. Those who questioned it got labeled uninformed. And while users continued performing psychic interpretations, projecting meaning onto shadows, expressions, and energy fields, the saga never paused long enough to breathe. It just escalated into charts, into podcasts, into documentaries, into whispered threads. With each layer, the fictional stakes increased. Public imagination had turned into wildfire that couldn't be smothered by calm voices or rational light. When hysteria marries storytelling, the outcome is digital mythology. By the end of the second phase, the rumor wasn't a rumor anymore. It was entertainment. It was theater. It was emotional improv performed by millions. People weren't trying to learn anything. They were trying to feel something dramatic, urgent, conspiratorial. Because nothing hooks attention more than a mystery that never needed facts in the first place. Fiction became architecture, and people lived inside it as though they'd found home. And the storyline kept mutating, charging forward without slowing, because the world had collectively decided that silence meant revelation. Glances meant confirmation, and Karlissa's slightest twitch meant she carried a truth sealed behind invisible doors. And the fictional saga roared louder, feeding the hunger for scandal cinema, leaving logic bruised while imagination danced in triumph. The only thing left was escalation, because the rumor wasn't anywhere near done. It was preparing to ignite a final inferno of consequences, perception shockwaves, and digital identity fallout, all born from ambiguous expressions and fictional conclusions tied to habits that were never defined in the first place. And that's exactly how the internet wanted it. Because clarity ends the show, and the show had just found its highest stage. As the fictional rumor reached its peak, the storyline mutated from harmless gossip into an unofficial belief system. People didn't just think Karlissa saw something in Junior's imaginary condition. They treated it like an encrypted warning destined to reshape reality. Comment threads sounded like cult meetings where believers recited digital scripture, nodding collectively at screenshots magnified beyond recognition. Even the tiniest blink from Karlissa became a symbolic omen suggesting she carried invisible knowledge. And once curiosity snowballed into obsession, the narrative cemented itself like myth passed down through generations. Eventually, discussions stopped revolving around what Junior's unspoken condition might be and shifted to when the truth would allegedly explode. People talked as if the earth was holding its breath, waiting for Karlissa to release an ancient scroll that only she had access to. Viewers watched her online presence like analysts studying foreign presidents for war signals. If she posted anything remotely calm, they claimed she was stabilizing herself before dropping a bombshell. If she shared humor, they said it was coping. The fictional crisis turned emotional interpretation into digital sport. Chrisean became the center of gravity in the rumor universe, trapped in an imaginary spotlight she never requested. Audiences examined her music, expressions, and chaotic humor, convinced every choice hinted at causal links. They tied her alleged habits to cosmic ripple effects, saying her vibrations imprinted on fictional developmental pathways. It didn't matter that none of these ideas came from scientific thought or rational observation. People craved cinematic drama so heavily they painted shadows as diagnoses and lifestyle quirks as catalysts. And soon her presence became a storm of fabricated guilt. Karlissa's alleged instincts were elevated to divine intuition with internet commentators calling her the mother who sees the unseen. They treated facial tension like encrypted, language and posture shifts like prophecies. Commentators said she maintained spiritual surveillance over Junior, sensing hidden threads through maternal sonar. None of it was grounded in truth, but the mystique of secrecy gave users more adrenaline than any verified information ever could. And fiction had now grown so large that it swallowed its own source. The rumor even spilled into fan theories about metaphysical preparation. Users claimed Karlissa was silently trying to ready the world for an impact moment. They said her alleged restraint was an act of maternal nobility, shielding Junior from society's untrained interpretation of his imaginary condition. Threads praised her wisdom, writing paragraphs that sounded like they belonged in handwritten scrolls locked inside marble vaults. Her silence became sacred. And silence, in internet culture, always grows louder than sound. As digital hysteria continued, amateur interpreters created elaborate timelines mapping the evolution of Junior's signs. These charts included close-ups of smiles, snapshots of sleepy eyes, and angles of baby cheeks. They outlined fictional developmental arcs based on nothing more than lighting and coincidence. The most dramatic creators whispered over montages, narrating the pattern formation. Even though it all came from fantasy, the more artistic it looked, the more the audience believed. And imagination drove the storyline deeper than reason ever wanted to go. At the same time, commentators began shaping Chrisean's image into a symbolic antagonist in the rumor mythos. Some said her chaotic energy allegedly disrupted internal harmony. Others tied her bold personality to invisible ripple effects that supposedly manifested in Junior's fictional condition. These ideas weren't supported by logic, science, or meaning. But drama never needs structure when the audience wants fireworks. And the digital world fed on sparks, breathing life into illusions with shocking enthusiasm. Every neutral moment became suspicious. If Chrisean posted a calm smile, they called it deflection. If she celebrated success, they read it as denial. If she stayed quiet, the silence was confirmation. The fictional rumor had evolved past storyline and into psychological theater. Users played detective, therapist, psychic, and historian, all without possessing any facts. The rumor didn't need fuel. It was an engine that ran on imagination alone. Then came the aftermath phase, when pages began speaking with clairvoyant confidence about consequences that hadn't happened. They predicted fictional medical discussions, emotional breakthroughs, and mythical unveilings. They spoke like authors writing the final act of a blockbuster, mapping outcomes that never existed. The rumor wasn't about revealing truth anymore. It was about predicting explosions, building tension, creating expectations, anything to stretch the story longer. Because the entertainment didn't live in the facts. It lived in the anticipation. Karlissa, unknowingly cast as the lead character in a fictional tragedy, became the most analyzed woman online. People zoomed into reflections behind her, hunting for imaginary documents. They screenshot shadows on furniture, convinced they were glimpses of hidden files. They wrote essays decoding background noise like secret messages. And all she ever did was speak with a serious tone. That tone, to rumor architects, was the machine that launched 1,000 theories. Junior, fictionalized into the symbolic heart of the storyline, became the innocent centerpiece of projection. Users claimed they could see inner signals in every blink and shoulder shrug, analyzing baby expressions with cult-like intensity. They didn't look for truth. They looked for narrative weight, something that made the mystery feel bigger than life. And once they found a dramatic angle, they sat on it like throne cushions. Refusing to move even as sanity begged to re-enter the room, Chrisean became the lightning rod for fictional blame. Her habits exaggerated into cosmic threats. Every wild moment, sarcastic post, or chaotic rant became a puzzle piece in users' imaginary condition theories. Even her quietest days were called silent storms, and viewers cheered for the drama they built, because nothing thrills the digital world more than turning an ordinary life into a rumor-made legend. The narrative wasn't based on observation. It was fueled by adrenaline dressed as suspicion. In the end, the fictional conspiracy climaxed with zero facts, zero revelations, and zero identification of what any of this was actually about. Commentators never named a condition because no condition existed. They never proved anything because there was nothing to uncover. The storyline survived only on mood, tone, and imagination. Yet the audience treated it like a secret coded inside Karlissa's breathing pattern. The absence of clarity only drove the frenzy harder, making nothing feel like everything. As the storyline slowed, reality finally crept back in like a quiet guest at the end of a wild party. People began admitting they had no clue what started the rumor, what it meant, or why they believed any of it. They'd been chasing ambiguous gestures without evidence, interpreting silence as signal, and treating expression as revelation, all because the saga felt cinematic. And fictional mystery always tastes richer than plain truth. Eventually, the illusion dissolved, leaving behind only hilarity. Commenters laughed at their own deep dive theories, meme editors roasted their dramatic overlays, and fans realized they spent weeks treating shadows, breath pauses, and blurry screenshots as holy evidence. Karlissa's alleged claim had never been defined. Junior's fictional condition was never named. Chrisean's supposed habits were never described. But the rumor still became legendary. Because rumor culture didn't need accuracy, only imagination, momentum, and a collective obsession with storyline over substance. It turned silence into plot and curiosity into conspiracy, and curiosity into conspiracy. It made ordinary expressions feel like encrypted messages. It proved that entertainment thrives not on fact, but on the illusion of hidden truth. And so the saga ended where it began, nowhere. There were no revelations, no confessions, no diagnoses, just a digital myth spun from ambiguous clips and wild, fictional interpretation. Junior returned to being a symbol rather than a mystery. Karlissa became just a mother with a serious tone. Chrisean went back to being chaotic and unapologetic. And the rumor returned to digital dust, living on only as comedy in retrospective threads. But the internet never forgets the rush. It remembers how thrilling fiction felt when delivered with conspiratorial conviction. It remembers how silence became evidence and how imagination transformed into spectacle. And in that memory, the saga found immortality as one of the wildest rumor fantasies social media ever produced, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the wild, unhinged, popcorn-fueled roller coaster of Karlissa's alleged hints, Junior's imaginary condition, and Chrisean's so-called mysterious habits, a saga powered by nothing but speculation dressed in scandal glitter. No documents, no receipts, no real claims, just the internet doing what it does best, taking a calm blink and turning it into a conspiracy confession. If a shadow can become evidence and silence can be translated as truth, then congratulations, you just lived inside a rumor's most iconic era. So go ahead and slam that like button like you're stamping sealed test results in a high-stakes lab. Drop your funniest fictional theory in the comments, because I want every eye blink interpretation and every over-magnified screenshot dissected with surgical sarcasm. And if you've ever turned blurry pixels into proof, then you already speak the language of this channel. I want the comment section messier than meme pages after midnight and louder than Karlissa sighs during a live stream replay. Make sure you subscribe, because around here, scandals don't need reality to blow up. They just need imagination strong enough to outrun logic. Tomorrow someone will sneeze on camera, twist their hair, drag out a vowel, or look left instead of right, and boom, we'll be right back, ripping a nothing moment into cinematic chaos. Keep notifications on, because Fame Flaws is where rumor storms get weaponized into entertainment marathons. This is your headquarters for over-analysis, scandal alchemy, and and sarcastic investigations that make even the wildest reality shows look like bedtime stories. And remember, truth is optional. Drama is mandatory. And every silence is a cliffhanger begging to be exaggerated. Welcome to the madness. Welcome to the rumor theater. Welcome to Fame Flaws.